I want you to know that ecoterrorism is so bad that when someone commits that, they certainly ought to be disqualified from management of public resources. That's why we're angry about this. Now, Senator Hawley wasn't here, but I was here when you had your hearing, and you didn't tell us anything about that. You swore that you had never been investigated, and you knew better than that. In fact, you had an attorney. That attorney negotiated an immunity agreement so that you wouldn't go to prison. Isn't that true? Yeah, it's a yes or no, ma'am.
Senator, I never received a letter saying I was under investigation. That was the question. There
was never a question about whether you received a letter that you were under investigation. The question that was asked to you was, have you ever been under investigation? And you knew you were under investigation. We were never able to cross-examine you on this. And as a matter of fact, after that, when it came to light, we started sending letters asking questions about it, and you wouldn't answer those letters. And you wound up getting confirmed on a party line vote, of course.
Senator, all of this came out also in my Senate confirmation at the state of Montana, where we went into great depth about...
Don't know anything about the state of Montana. I'm talking about sitting right here looking like this, where you were trying to become the head of the Bureau of Land Management. Let me say something else that really troubles me, is the lack of remorse of your involvement in this. You're saying, oh, I was handed a letter and I had to send it because I was scared. The investigation had things very different than that. There's a statement in there by the investigator that says Stone Manning, quote, was an active member of the original group that planned the spiking. There is a quote in here from a witness who overheard you. She said that she had overheard, we're in a conversation where Ms. Stone Manning, along with other co-conspirators, planned the tree spiking and discussed whether to use the ceramic or metal spikes in the trees. We all know how important that is, whether you use metal or ceramic. Lastly, the ringleader of the whole thing, Mr. Blunt, said after your hearing, and you said, oh, well, you know, I didn't know anything about this till he handed me the letter. He said, this is the ringleader of your conspiracy, said, quote, she knew about it far in advance, a couple of months before. So your lack of remorse here is despicable, to be honest with you.
Senator, I have to say for the record, none of what you just said is true.
Well, somebody sure thought it was.
Did
you sign an immunity agreement?
I actually couldn't tell you the difference between a ceramic and a metal spike. I actually don't know the difference.
Well, the difference, as you know, is when they go through the mill, they're x-rayed, and if there's metal in it, they'll be able to kick it out. If you put a ceramic spike in, they'll never pick it up, and it'll kill mill workers. That's the difference between ceramic and metal, and they overheard you having this conversation with someone else. Look, I can't tell you how deeply disappointed I am, not only in what you've done. You wanted us to look at the last 3.5 years. The last 3.5 years has been a disgrace, as you've heard here today.